Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to What's Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Right, today's Friday. Friday's the day of the week we turn to the BonBon buddies over on Patreon and say, hey guys, vote us in a map. And they've gone with this one. Now, if you're wondering what sort of map to expect today, I'm going to say one that won't disappoint you. It's one of those that's got very little wrong with it. It's not overly complicated. It doesn't have a huge subscription list, although there are a few things to subscribe to. It doesn't have much in the way of DLC. It's a fairly easy entry level, fairly easy to build on map that I would say if you choose to play on this one, I think you're going to have a good time. Yes, it's not the most complex or most convoluted or most technical of maps, but does a map have to have all of those things? I mean, on this show, yeah, bonus points. But if you're happy just for something simple and straightforward, well, we've got that right here. I think you'd be happy. I'll also be very happy with you if that's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Be one of the 10% that does. Today's map is Point San Pablo by EDE or ED09. I'm going ED09. If that's wrong, I'm sorry. It also could be Point, but Point is I'm going with. There's your start square with the long bendy road going. It's not the most exciting of start squares, but again, does it have to be? Plenty of buildable terrain in the 25 tiles, no complaints there. Quite nicely framed, I feel, today's map. And then the resources, well, ore in the hills and lots of forestry. Oil in the underwaters as well. And then if you've got Sunset Harbour and want to do some fishing, your fishing map looks like that, which again is perfectly fine. Okay, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. There's a short list of items on the right hand side. No one-click collection, but that's all you need. Springwood map theme and the Nemesis LUT today. And back down to ground level. Now, one thing I keep forgetting to point out when it happens, and I'm going to try and remember more often, is when maps aren't listed by the map name in the loading area. So if you're loading up this map, you're looking for 511. 511. Which is Fireworks Night, as we refer to it in over here in Blighty. Yes. remember the 5th of November. I'm sure your country has its own celebrations or things it wants to forget from the 11th. No, the 11th of... Could be the 11th of May. Are we talking American? Of course, we could be talking American here because there is a San Pablo in America. And we're going to be doing factoids because factoids about San Pablo in California. If you want to know a little bit of crazy detail, and I have some crazy detail from, from San Pablo. We have that coming. So yes, as maps go, it's fine. As you can see, there's nothing much wrong with it. We haven't got major intricate waterways or coastlines or tiered building areas and big mountain ranges that are breaking. None of that. It's just a pleasingly fine map. Aesthetically quite stylized in the way that we differentiate between the mountains and the land by using the ore texture. And of course we've used oil underneath the rivers, which helps that to just like be a slightly different color, which again, I mean, I don't have a problem with these things. And maybe taking oil out from underneath the lake would be something that would be quite pleasing in terms of gameplay mechanic. Anyway, so yeah, mass transit is the mod you'll be needing. The DLC you'll be needing today. If you don't have mass transit, your map will be broken. But more about that when we get down to it. Nicely balanced there, bridge across the water there, by the way. I didn't stop and show it, but liking the way the pillars are put on either side of the riverbank. So credit there. That down to the start square intersection, a fairly straightforward trumpet intersection going on there, which we'll take a better look at a bit later on in the show. And then it comes down to your start square area, which is, I mean, it's fine. It's not really inspiring, but it's perfectly fine. We do have a little bit of glitching on the terrain, cutting through the underside of the road there. Many ways to fix that one. moving the node using Move It is one of them, but there are other methods as well. I'm sure you probably just don't even care. One thing that I'm actually caring about, because I keep forgetting, since doing my rebuild of the mods, I have forgotten to switch off the sprites in Hide It. Or I think I remember to switch off the sprites and hide it, and maybe I need to do that every single time, because having switched off the sprites, they've reappeared. So I think I did. I'm going to try and remember. It'll be from next week, because secret's out. I've already recorded tomorrow's show. So yes. Saturday's review recorded before Friday's. Anyway, highway hits the edge of the map over there, and then we join up with the rail, which is just from this angle, and it's fine as well. But yes, so I'm going to try and remember for Monday's show. I'll try and remember all of the things. Depends how complex Monday's map is. The more complex a map is, the more I've got to remember to do, and the more chance that there are things just falling out of my brain before it happens, because that's the thing that happens. Regular to the show will know quite well indeed. Oh man, I need a production team and a promotions team. Editing team. In fact, and the voiceover artist. I've got Zack for that as well. I mean, they could, with a proper team, I could just sit back, drink. I'm a coffee drinker rather than a tea drinker. I know a lot of you think us English only drink the tea, but I prefer a coffee. I'll sit back with a coffee and just like point my finger in general directions as the things that I want doing. I think that's something. Is that a tree on the line? There's a tree on the branch line there. There was one earlier as well, which I'm sure somebody would have picked up on. Might be another one right there as well, and possibly encroaching onto the catenaries, if not actually on the line maybe. Anyways, in terms of the networking, you've seen it all. You've got a pretty good feel for the lay of the land. There are a few things to talk about regarding the actual shape and design of the map, as well as the water flow and shipping routes. I think you're going to be impressed by today's shipping routes. They've gone to a little bit of effort. You'll find out right after this message.
Do you have trouble knowing how to start a new city? Do you need to return to the absolute basics just this once? Don't worry, I won't tell. Then you need BonBonB's Beginner's Guide to Your First City. Click the information button now.
And so back to Point San Pablo by EDE09. And those very satisfying shipping routes. They are very slick, very curly, going into lots of little dead ends. There are one or two. They've tried to avoid there being these areas where you'll get ships having to do a full turn. But there are 1 or 2 points where you may end up seeing a ship doing a full 180. But they are few and far between, and it has to be a harbour placement in a certain spot for it to happen. But they are there. Water flow was not the strongest flowing river in the world, which could be troublesome if you are relying on water in the start square to be moving. So consider that when you are placing your pumping and drawing. Okay, map as a whole. I like the overall shape, I like the overall design, I like the overall aesthetics, and we've got this lake that just breaks up the map quite nicely. Remember, if you've got a map that there's no shape really, look at investing some lakes in, because lakes are just a great way of forcing a city to be a slightly different shape. The valleys, very nice, simple, straightforward, effective tree painting going on there as well. Totally buyable, and no issues with that at all. And then the river, again, the river is fine, or fine enough, isn't it? Little bit of possible stop-start right there, but the rest of it is fine. Maybe we just need to give the water a bit more time to settle down, but it looks good to me. Could just a little bit more strength in that river would definitely work for me. Now, rocks, there's plenty of dotted rock work. Rocking and holding, everybody. There's one for the BonBonBingo players. There are a few spots. Now, I would say, actually, with this map, it would work better for me without any of the rocks. And now that we've got a lot of vanilla trees, decent vanilla trees, I would switch out all of the custom trees and switch over to the new vanilla ones. and have this as a 100% vanilla map without any DLC. Look over here. Here's your mass transit highways, 2 lanes, but they are only from the highway there down to the start square. At the very least, I would have wanted to have seen them here for lane mathematics between these 2 points, so going from 3 lanes down to 2 along here, and then when the slip roads connect back up, having them connect back in there. So yeah, I think this would work really well as a vanilla base game map, with the new modern trees, of course. But before we do any more, we've got to have a look at the asset of the day. This is Helipads by sebnichols. Now there are 4 helipads in the pack, 1 for each variety, so ambulance and fire and whatever. They all look identical, so I've only shown you one of them, but they all spawn 1 vehicle of the required type. And factoids, because factoids. According to the City of San Pablo within Richmond, California, 2010 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city were the City of San Pablo with 186, at Joint 4, the Vale Healthcare Centre and San Pablo Healthcare and Wellness Centre with 275, the Casino San Pablo at 397, the Contra Costa College at 697, and the top employer in San Pablo is the Doctors Medical Centre with 982 employees. So there you go, San Pablo. It's all about healthcare, so it would seem. That's in the Californian one. That's not here though. You might need to get there via helicopter, in which case you might need the Helipads by sebnichols. Today's asset of the day. Maybe Point San Pablo was inspired by Sam. Certainly could get away with feeling this is a little bit West Coast, I think. Anyway, what do you think of today's map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now in the top right hand corner of your screen, or the link in the description. It will take you to the voting page where you can vote for free with a Facebook, Gmail, Apple, or a Patreon account. But what do I think of today's map? Well, let me tell you. Aesthetically, I think I like it. I don't absolutely. It's not going to score massive points for its design or its complexity or anything. It's got some nice touches and it's pleasing enough. Don't think I can quite award a 4th star, but I'm going to go right at the top end of 3. Detailing, nothing wrong with it. Got some nice little touches here and there, much as with the aesthetics. All of the same reasons, except for aesthetics, but I'm going to go with a very high 3 stars for detail. Nothing wrong with it, very happy. Gameplay looks very pleasingly playable. Again, I'd like to see a one-click collection. I'd like it actually not to have any custom assets or DLC at all. But I think as you play this, you'll have fun. I'm going to go for a very high 3 again, because nothing really inspiring about it. Point San Pablo by Eid09. If this is the sort of map that you're looking for, you're going to have a good time. If you're just looking to build a city and just see how the city evolves, then this map won't really give you that, in my opinion. Tell me that I'm wrong in the comments, because that's what the comments are for. The other thing that the comments are for using the word of the day. Let's talk about these things. That's right. Use that word of the day in the comments to prove you're part of the 20 and out elite. And I'll be back tomorrow with that already recorded. Trust me, it's a little bit special. Promise you. I couldn't wait to record it. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.